Hello everyone and welcome to my coloring corner. Today is Fun Stuff Friday and we have some fun stuff from the Hippie Crafter. Now this is an American-based small company. They're committed to producing professional grade art supplies. They are a small company, so they do outsource their production. So you will see that this set of pencils is basically a white labeled set of pencils sold to the Hippie Crafters. Um, they're not a bad set of pencils. Unfortunately, I had some breakages, as you can see from the shorter pencils here. Now, I don't know if that was due to shipping or due to the cores themselves. There is a dent, as you could probably see here, a huge dent in the edge of the box here. So it may have been dropped in the warehouse before it was shipped. It was shipped from Amazon, and there was no protection between this and the pencils beyond this little piece of paper here. So that being said, breakage is something that happens. It's definitely not the problem of the pencil at this point, from what I can see on sharpening all the rest of them. When I was doing my swatches, which you will see shortly, this pencil here, one of these two pencils, was wiggly, and the actual core completely popped out. So it has some issues. So no, it was this one. So this one here was when I was sharpening this one earlier, the core popped right out. And then this one here yesterday when I was doing the swatch, well, last night when I was doing the swatch, came completely out as well. So, like I said, there was some damage done to the package. I don't believe it's a problem of the pencils. I do believe it is a problem of the Amazon warehouse. So, that being said, like I said, I have completed the swatch and I did go through and sharpen the pencils. Let's take a closer look at the pencils themselves. I'm going to switch you over to the close-up camera. Oh, fudge. Well, it's not too bad, I guess. So you can see here it says Hippie Crafter, and then it has Scarlet number 118. This is a 72 pencil set, so basically what they've done is they've contacted the manufacturer, went through the manufacturer's catalog, picked the core size, the core or the barrel size, the type of wood, and the colors they wanted, and they had them manufacture them. So this one is dark pink, which is 170. I do believe it's worn off a little bit. I had a couple that had some print issues, not wrong spellings or anything like that, but there is, let's see if I can find it. There is one that, yeah, warm yellow, that is got some print issues there. These are all manufacturer's issues. And like I said, the company themselves, from talking to the girl in that, seem to be a good, solid company. I haven't been able to contact them since I received my email and talked to her on the email before receiving the set. And of course, I will be contacting them later about issues and how how the process all works. I know how the process works for white labeling, and it's basically You contact the company, you say you know what you want on the pencils as of your logo and whatnot, and you pick out your colors, your size, the type of wood you want, and then go from there. They do have a really good selection of colors, so they do, and I don't like the way they're laid out in here, and I will redo them at some point. But they go from their whites into their yellows, into their peach tones, into their oranges, reds, into their pinks. And then they go from their purples into their blues, into their grays, into the darker grays. And then they go down into the black, into the brown, and into the green. The one on the end here is one that I haven't sharpened yet, and that's why it's missing, because I wanted to sharpen that on screen with you today. So I did swatch them exactly as they are in the tin, and I did swatch them before I sharpened them. The reason why I do this is because a lot of these companies tend to have in their advertisements, it's one of their big things in the advertisements, is these are ready to use right out of the box. Well, to me that means ready to use without having to sharpen them. So I always want to make sure that the color that is laying down straight out of the box before I sharpen them is the uh, same depth of color as you get from sharpening them. So I did not sharpen them before I swatch, as I never do, because of that. That's the main reason why I don't sharpen them before I swatch them. Is A, I want to make sure that they are living up to their advertisement of being ready out of the box. B, if there's any problems with them, I don't want to sharpen them and have to send them back saying, okay, this was an issue and this is why this was an issue, and then having them repair the issue and not be able to use or sell it as a return, because Amazon does like to do that. And I would hate for them to, just throw them in the garbage because I'd sharpen them. That's the other reason why I don't like to sharpen them before I swatch them. All right, guys, so grab your cup of coffee, sit back, relax. This is going to take about 3 or 4 minutes. And of course, it is swatch time. So get ready for it. Of course, I have gone through and marked all of the ones that I might have issues with, and we will check those out later on during the first impressions. And I will disclaimer this. This is just a swatching and my first impressions. I have not done a full review of them, but I will give you my first impressions as well as the first impression test results. All right, guys, I will be right back. Please enjoy the swatch. Grab your coffees and get ready. All right, so that wasn't too bad. So we've got our swatch here, and like I said, it does have a very nice range of colors. Personally, this is not the arrangement that I would have put them in, but like I said, I didn't put together the set. So this is the arrangement that they wanted them in, and this is the arrangement that I swatched them in. So we start off, of course, up here with our white, into our yellows, into our peach tones, and then into our oranges. Now this one here, I would have put here next to the baby pink. The baby pink I would have put down here. Like I said, I will go through and rearrange it at another time. And then it goes into our reds, our red oranges, and then into our reds. And personally, I don't think there's, other than the carmine red, I really don't see a good depth of red there. They've got a nice brownish red down here, which would go well with the carmine red, but I don't see a huge range of red. The carmine red does have a little bit of a orange tone to it, where the deep pink, the dark pink, and scarlet here all have that dark pink, deep pink color. Now the brick dust I think should go down here, and the light brownish red should go up here. Just my opinion. But then we go into our pinks, into our purples, and once again the purples are a little bit askew. We have a light purple, a dark purple, a light purple, a dark purple, red violet, deep violet, like a deep purple, and then we have our orchids and our plums. Plum looks like a red violet to me, and then we have our grayish pink. And then we of course start into our blues, and it has a really good selection of blues. This dark purple should go up here with the deep purple. You know, if anything, I would have probably switched those two around if I was to look at the color variations there, because the deep purple is closer to this navy blue. Other than their lineup, which, you know, we always go through and rearrange them to our preference, and that's pretty much the thing, is it's always a personal preference. And then we go into our paler colors for the blues, which they have in a good order there, and then into our deeper colors such as the navy blue, the cyan, the gray blue, and a metallic blue. They have a few metallics dispersed throughout the set, which is great. I personally like to keep my metallics at the end of the set just for personal things. It's just where I'm used to them being, and that's where I reach for them at. Of course, then we go into our grays. We have a good selection of grays. We've got a light gray, a lead gray, gray, slate gray, and deep greenish gray, and then a black gray. So it has a really good selection of grays from a light, medium, dark tones. And then we go into our browns. And our browns, this one here is an olive brown or olive yellow, which has that little tiny bit of a green tinge. And then we have our metallic gold. Now this is a good yellow gold, which is wonderful to me. I like yellow gold. I prefer to have a good yellow gold pencil. And then we go into our lighter tones for the browns, the desert yellow, cinnamon, light reddish brown. And then we go into our red, into a light brownish red, which I would have put up here. And then we have brownish red, bronze, burnt umber, ochre, and ochre I would have put over here. And then we have our greens. We have some really deep greens here, and then we go into some aquatic greens here, and then we go back into the deeper greens here. So these greens here, from light sea green to bluish green, I would have moved over and put those two greens over here, and then the range that is in the correct order for my brain. But all in all, a really good selection of colors. You can definitely use the 72 set and not feel like you're missing a color or a color family, or other than red. I think other than the red, you have a really good range of colors. Red, personally, there's a lot of companies out there that don't put enough red in their sets. I don't know why. They just don't. It's very strange. Now I'm going to sharpen this. Of course, this is the Deli crank sharpener, hand sharpener. Just a couple of little turns, and it's fairly well centered. Gets a nice sharp point. The one of the problems that I have noticed with these black barrel pencils is the paint does come off when you sharpen them, and sticks in the sharpener, so you end up with little paint chips on your pencils. Easily wiped off, not a big issue. Now I did color this flower to test out the pencils, and they did quite well. I had some issues, for example, up on this top row I have no scratchiness. The second row, no scratchiness. The third row, which is our deepest colors here, other than the purples here, I know there's some in here. There we are. So the gray blue was very scratchy. Surprisingly, the metallic was not. So I have sharpened it, and I will test the gray blue So let's pull that one. Gray, blue, where are you? There it is. So we'll pull that one. We're going to pull out all the ones that I had some issues with. Lead gray was another one. Deepish green gray was another one. Now all of these were scratchy when I laid them down. Mid green. So medium green. Forest green was fine. Teal. Bluish green. Now I will show you all these pencils, and the one thing that you will notice with all of them is they're all very dark colors, like very dark, very heavily pigmented colors. Jade green, and I do find that in a lot of sets that the ones that are the scratchiest are the greens. The greens or the purples, reddish purples. The ones with the highest pigmentation seem to have a lot of really, really scratchy areas. So as you can see, they're all extremely dark colors. And basically what happens is they're highly pigmented. I'm not seeing any chunks in the pigmentation after I've sharpened them. So let's give them another go. And I know I might have thrown it out. I had a spare sheet here that I may have thrown out. Figures. Alright, so what I'm going to do is on this sheet here, I'm just going to flip it over here, and under my tester areas I'm going to try out the scratchy ones and see if they're still scratchy after sharpening. And this one here still has a bit of scratch to it, but it's definitely not as bad as it was during the swatch. And that one is medium green. So I'm going to grab my pen here. Scratch test. And actually I'm just going to write the numbers, because writing the whole amount, the whole thing is going to take up too much room. Alright, and this one here is bluish green. And this one does feel like there's something in the lead that's causing the scratch. It's not a dry pigments, like it's not a dry too much pigment scratch. It actually feels like something's in it. So this one here is 109, and that has a yes. This has a no because it wasn't as bad. So this one here is jade green. And it still has a scratch. But I think no. Once you get a good layer down, the scratch seems to go away. So I think it may also be the tooth of the paper, but I'm getting quite a bit of crumble there as well. Let's see that medium, or the yeah, number 109. So yeah, no, even with a layer, this one's still scratchy. Really, like there's a chunk of something in there. So that one was 164, and once I got a layer down, it did okay. So I'll put an N there because it did do all right after I got a layer. But it is crumbly. So we're also going to put a C there for crumbles. Now this one is teal. And I was surprised when I did the swatch that this one was scratchy because teals usually are not. And as soon as I get a layer down, it's fine. So that is teal, and that is number 163. On the first layer, it feels a little scratchy, but once you get another layer down, it's not too bad. There's a little bit of crumbling, but nothing major. Like I'm not getting great big huge chunks of it falling off. This one here is 142, which is gray blue. And I don't know if you know like the feel of it, but you know when you're coloring and it feels like something is catching on the paper? That's what I'm looking for. Because what that is a chunk in the pencil that has not been mixed properly. And this one here is scratchy, and even after going over it, it feels like there's something grabbing the paper and scraping it. So it's on one side of the pencil, because after I turned it, it stopped doing it. So there's a chunk in there. Alright, this one here is number 18, which is lead gray. And this one's fine after sharpening. There's no major scratch, there's no grab. Yeah, that one's fine. And then this one here is 156, which is deep greenish gray. And it's perfectly fine after sharpening. Now, sometimes they coat the pencils with a wax dip to protect the tips. And that's what I'm checking for after it, with checking after I swatch on if they're still scratchy. Because once I've removed that coat, if it's still scratchy after that, then it wasn't the coating that was on it, it's something in the pencil. So we have something in this pencil here, because I can feel the chunk. So we'll put a CH there. I can feel the chunk in there. This one here I can't feel the chunk in, but it is just still scratchy. So I'm just going to leave that as yes. So we, out of the 72 set, we had 3 that were really scratchy. Now, that may just be a slight chunk in that part of the pencil, and you can sharpen it out. Just know the feeling that I look for. This may not be anything anybody else looks for, but with the way my senses are and the sensory in my fingers, and the way my body reacts to it, it's it's a feeling like there's a hook in the pencil. So basically it feels like there's something that's cutting into the paper that's grabbing hold of the paper and dragging the pencil and not letting the pencil glide. That's what I'm looking for. So those are our scratchy ones. I'm going to put them back in. Let's put them back in order. So that we can do our test. So and then teal. Oh, well, welcome, Sharon. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you have some fun and enjoy the channel. Of course, remember, currently starting yesterday, I do believe, for the Europeans, because yesterday was today, we are in the middle of a colorathon. So we have celebrate. Oh, goodness. I have said it like 40,000 times today. I think I'd remember the name of it. Just 1 second and I'll. So it is currently a festival of coloring frights. Colorathon. Festival of Coloring Frights. Goodness, that is a tongue twister. Festival of Coloring Frights. Colorathon is currently going on. And what that is a number of different YouTube colorists that are coloring all things spooky and fun and Halloweenish. So make sure that you show your support. Go out there and take a look at everyone's fun stuff that they're coloring. Today, I do believe Mon well, I was in Monya Gates's earlier today, and hers is, of course, is absolutely gorgeous. You know, she just does such a great job, and I always get jealous because yeah, I just love her work, and I just don't give it justice whatsoever. I'm so afraid to color her work because I just don't give it justice, and I don't want to ever, not give it justice. Okay, so back to this swatching now that I've put all those pencils away. And I'm going to keep my pen handy because I'm going to need it. So on the back side here, I've got a water test, a 3-color blend, a blender test. So I'm going to try to blend them with a blender, as well as a smudge test to make sure that they're not movable by hand. So we're going to grab the brightest yellow that they have, which is number 4. And I'm just going to fill in this circle. Oh, there's a break. Be careful, don't press too hard. So I'm filling in this circle quite heavily, making sure that I get a good amount of pigment down. And as you can see, they're fairly soft. They wear down quite simply, quite quickly. They kind of mush, not as much as the Prismas do. They sort of dust quite a bit. And of course, if you press too hard and you have too much of a tip on it, it's going to go snap, as you just saw. And then we're going to grab the closest thing to red that they have, which is carmine red. Now yeah, there goes the tip again. So do not sharpen them to as fine of a tip as I do, and then try to press hard on it because it's going to snap. Alright. But they do cover very nicely, just with a heavy hand. So, and then we're going to take royal blue, which is a nice dark blue, and we're going to try to be gentle with it and not snap the tip off. So these are the three basic blues, reds, the three basic colors, primary colors. That's the word I'm looking for. Red, blue, and green. Or red, blue, and yellow, sorry. Yellow and blue make green. I know. Brain has decided, yeah, it just doesn't want to today. So I'm just going to pop those out so that I can see where they are. Make sure that this is dusted off. Make sure that there's no way in at all that there's any sort of color left on there. Loosely. I'm going to switch you over to the close-up camera so you can see a little bit closer. And I'm going to grab my water brush here. Make sure that it's not too wet. Now, this test is basically to find out if just gently going over top of your colored pencil with a watercolor or a gel pen or a spray fixative, if this is going to run. So I'm not going to saturate it. I'm just going to gently see if we can move that color. So the red moves a little bit. And the blue, yeah, no, the blue doesn't. Let's see. Make sure that it's not just because I had a little bit of red on it. So the blue doesn't move. The yellow doesn't move. The red, which is a high pigmentation color, moves a little bit. So I think it passed the water test. Now I did not agitate it, like I did not scrub my brush into it. When I use watercolor over top of a colored pencil, I don't scrub over top of what I've colored. I will gently go over top of what I've colored to get to the watercolor or to accentuate that color. But I'm not going to scrub it because I don't want it to mess up what I've already colored. And scrubbing anything with water is going to mess it up. Like if I went over this black pen here and just scrubbed with the water brush, that black pen is going to move a little bit. Alright, so now we're going to take our pencils, and the exact same pencils, the yellow, the red, and the blue, and we're going to do a 3-color blend. So we're going to blend 2 colors together to try to get a third. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a medium thickness. I'm not going to press hard. Let's see, we've gone down twice and up twice with the red, and then on here we'll go down twice and up twice, and then we'll do it again with the red, go down once, yellow, go down once. Now as you can see, it is dragging that yellow or that red into the yellow and making it orange. So one of the things that you will need to watch for when you're coloring with these, if you're blending your colors together, make sure that you don't have any loose bits of color. So as you can see, I'm picking up little bits of loose color from that red onto my yellow and then dragging it over into the yellow. So make sure that your tip of your color is clean so that when you blend them together you get a proper blend. And this did a proper blend. It does transition from red to yellow in a gradual transition, which is good. Now they are a little crumbly, so make sure that you have your brush handy so that you don't, like I said, pull the crumbles into the other color. Now we're going to do, I think, yellow to blue. And we're going to clean off the yellow first. Make sure that there's no red in it. Okay. And then we'll do yellow to blue. So we're going to start with the yellow. We're going to go down one, up one. And then we're going to go into the blue, and we're going to go down one, and up one. And then yellow again. We're going to go down one, and up one. So as you can see, the blue and the yellow are blending together, creating a green tone. So that blended as well. So they do blend together quite nicely. So they've passed the water test, they've passed the blend test. Now we're going to blend with a blender pencil. So I'm going to take some other colors. Let's see. Let's do, well, no, let's stick with the same colors. Let's do red and yellow, and then we'll do green, or yeah, we'll do red and yellow, and then we'll do blue and red on this one. So we're just going to go up and down. There's one. And we're going to see how far the blenders will drag these first of all, and see if we're able to drag them into blending together. Alright, and then I've got my Caran d'Ache blender stick here. And the Caran d'Ache doesn't blend them or doesn't drag them at all. So let's put them right into each other here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this time I put them right up next to each other. The yellow already had four layers, so I put the same for the red. And we're trying to get rid of that hard line and blend those two colors together. And they don't seem to want to blend all that well, because you can still see where that line is. It has softened it a little bit, but not as much as blending it together like that. So there's still too much of a hard line there for me to consider that blendable with a blender pencil for the red and the yellow. So let's try the red and the blue. Let's grab the blue. We want this one, I think. Nope, that's dark purple. We don't want dark purple. Royal blue, there we go. So let's start with the red. Well, let's start with the blue. We already know that it will not drag it. So this one here, we're not going to try to drag it. We're just going to try to blend it together and see if we can get a purple tone. 3, and then one more is 4. And then in this one here as well, 1. And I am going to touch them, because like I said, we already know that the blender pencil itself, it will not drag them. However, different colors will react differently. So I don't know how far it'll drag the blue. I'm going to dust it off, make sure there's no crumbs that the blender is grabbing hold of. Now they do blend very nicely to get rid of the white spot. With the blender pencil. So if you have a problem with white spot, it does blend very nicely for that. However, bringing those two colors together, not so much. It does join them up, but basically doing that with the pencil would work just as well. So with the blend, to blend out the white spot, it works very nicely. Like I can remove the white spot with that. To blend them together to create a secondary color or to remove a line, a harsh blend line like this, it does not work. So I think it failed the Caran d'Ache blender test. So it may work with a different blender than the Caran d'Ache. So let's try it with the Blick Studios on this area here. Once again, going in with the blue and the red just because they're in my hand. So there's our blue. And I'm just going to touch it barely with the red. And then we'll take our blender pencil, and like I said, this is the Blick Studios blender. I'm just going to make sure that I have no debris on it from any previous blends, and then we'll bring them together. Okay, so they do blend better with this pencil than with the Caran d'Ache, where they're actually moving together. Not as much as I'd like, but they do actually move together a little bit with this blender pencil. And it does cover the white spot. So the Caran d'Ache blender pencil covers the white spot. However, the harder blender pencil like the Blick Studio or the Derwent will probably blend them together a little bit better. Okay, so let's try the smudge test. So we're going to fill these with color, and I'm going to put a nice thick layer of color, and I will make sure that there's no crumbles or anything else. Just making sure that I get a full coverage, because it's usually after we've completed an area that we end up rubbing our hand across it and smudging it. So I'm making sure that I get a completed area with a full level of color. Okay, and the yellow. Remove that. Okay, so I've got the yellow, the royal blue, and the carmine red. The yellow is that I'm using is canary yellow. Okay, so let's try the yellow. And it moved. Let's try the blue. And it moved. And the red also moved. So, and basically it's moving with just rubbing back and forth, as well as adding some pressure. So why it's not moving with the blender pencil, I don't know, but it moves with my finger. I was actually kind of expecting it not to because of the blender pencil. It may be because of the oils of my skin is moving that around, but that's what happens when we rub against our picture with our hand, is the oils of our skin moves that pigment. So it failed the smudge test. So it is smudgeable. Uh, it's blendable, and the blender, the Caran d'Ache, no. The Blick, yes. Yeah. So the Caran d'Ache blender does fill in the white spot. However, it does not move those two colors together very well. The lighter colors like the red into the yellow, it moved the red over into the yellow, but it didn't combine them the way that using the two pencils into each other does. So it doesn't blend them to create a new color. However, down here with the Blick Studio blender, you do have a bit of a blend into each other, creating that softer line combined. So here it's a hard line, here it's a softer line. So those are our initial tests. Now, of course, we're not going to have a full knowledge of how well the pencils do without actually coloring with them. So as I said, I've colored this area here, so we're going to color this area here, and then we're going to do, actually I'm not going to color that. I'm going to color, because this is a fairly large hug today. So we're going to actually color our hug with these pencils. And today's hug is this one here, which is very fitting. So we have a darker colored individual's gown here with dark hair, and then of course a lighter toned area here. So it's a depiction of good and evil sisters, or that sort of thing. What it looks like is Maleficent, and I'm not quite sure. I am quite sure there's a story behind it, but I don't know what it is. And I'm not going to guess because I may get it wrong. Alright, so we're going to start with her dress here, and we're going to start with a little bit of purple. So we're going to start with the bluish purple. And the reason why I'm starting with the lightest color or lighter colors is because of the paper in this book. Now, if you have a really good paper, you can definitely work from dark to light if you choose to. Of course, this is a personal preference. I have just found that this book works a little bit better if I put down those light colors first, because I tend to flip back and forth between doing the light colors first and the dark colors first. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. So I'm just putting in that purple. And I'm going over the black areas just because there's little tiny light flecks in those black areas. That we want to show a little bit of purple in. And once I go over it with the black, you'll understand why. They do seem to be doing quite well on this book. They're laying down very smoothly, even over top of the ink, which is great, because that's what we want. Alright. And I'm not putting down a really heavy layer all over. I am lightening my hand in certain areas that the light is hitting more of, because I want it to show a little bit lighter in those areas. And the way to tell what areas those are on something that is colored in this way, with heavy black areas, is to see where the white lines are closest together. So this area here, because all those white lines are really close together and there's a lot less black, is of course where that light is going to hit. So I'm leaving that open for that light to hit it, so that when she's fully colored, it's going to look like a reflection on her dress, or a light shine on her dress. Same with up here, you can tell where the light's hitting it. Just going over the entire area, the entire dress with this purple. Now you could easily, very easily, just color the areas that are white with this purple and, call it a day. I, however, have a tendency to make things more difficult for myself, and I'm going to be going over it with the black just to deepen that color all the more. Because I'm a glutton for punishment. No, it's just because it just gives it that extra little bit of depth with the way that the artist has drawn it. Just make sure I get her collar. And then we're going to take the black, which is number 1. So the Hippie Crafter colored pencils are available on their website, which I will leave in the description below. They also have many other different art supplies. They are also available on Amazon. So if you want to just purchase them on Amazon, they are available there as well, which I will also leave a link to that in the description below. Like I said, they are a US based company out of Florida, and they are a small business. So, of course, we enjoy supporting our small businesses. So, and like I said, they are a white labeled pencil, which is, there's nothing wrong with the white labeled pencil. There are quite a few brands out there that have white labeled pencils that are very nice pencils. The only problem that I've found so far with these is, there was some breakage, and that to my perspective is not a problem of the manufacturer or the company. I find that is a problem with Amazon and their shipping department. They do tend to not treat packages with care sometimes. And colored pencils need to be treated with care, otherwise they break. And people don't understand that, unless you're a colorist or, an artist, you're not going to look at it the same way. You're going to look at it going, well, they're just pencil crayons. What do you expect? But to us, the more you manhandle them and drop them and that sort of thing, the more nightmares we have. And if you're not one of us, one of us, you tend to not understand that as much until you are informed. here. Now, as you can probably see, the black has enhanced that ink just all that more, making it look more black. The purple gives it that light detail. That we need it to give. So it looks like there's, well, in this picture, in this camera, for some reason it's not showing the purple now. It used to not show the green, now it's not showing the purple. But in the other camera you'll see what I mean. And typically when you put down your light first and then go over it with a dark, you can always see the light underneath, which gives you some good depth in your color. Gives you a little bit of dimension. Now this area here, I want a little darker because it's the back side of her. Same with under here. I want that a little bit darker than that purple because that's where it overhangs. Oh my goodness. Seems a lot of people have decided that they need to talk to me all at once. Facebook just blew up. Alright. So of course after I am done my video today, I will be spending the rest of the day watching other YouTubers with their wonderful videos. Tomorrow I will be on at my normal time, and of course I do have a reminder up for tomorrow, schedule up for tomorrow, so make sure you go to that schedule and click on the PDF, or not PDF, the Google form that's listed there that will tell you where all the broadcasters are, who they are, and what times they're broadcasting, so that you can be informed and try to make sure that you get to some of the new ones, things that you haven't seen before. Schedule some time in to go and check them out because all of them are fantastic. Alright, and then I'm going to do the same thing with her hair. However, I'm going to use a blue instead. First, I'm just going to go over this purple one more time, just to make sure that it is dark enough in the darker areas and not completely white in the areas that I want to, blend in a little bit and just show light, not white. Because we want it to show light, not white. If that makes sense. Because if I wanted it white, I just would have left it alone and called it a day and moved on. But in order to show reflection of light when you're working with black, there's 3 or 4 different colors that you can use that show that reflection very well. One of which is purple. Another one is blue, which is what I'm going to use in her hair. And of course, the final one is gray, as well as white. You can definitely use white as well. White's just a little bit stark, but it does work quite well. I find it's a little stark for me, but I do use it for different things. And basically what those colors will do is they will give you highlighted areas. So if you put down, say, some blue and then put black over top of it, you're going to get a very deep black in that area. You'll get that blue undertone. So we're going to do that's dark purple, navy blue, which is number 61. And we're just going to go in to her hair here. Now I'm not covering the whole area. I'm just covering the areas that are showing that light refraction. And the reason for this is because I don't want the dark black area to get any deeper, and I want that blue area to stand out against the black, not blend into it. Alright, then we're going to take our black. Now these are really, really small areas, so I'm not going to have enough room in here to flick. But I do have enough room to fill it in. Alright, now we're going to do her skin tones. And we're going to start with we're going to start with grayish pink, if I can get to it. We're going to put a bit of grayish pink in her shadow areas. And then we're going to go with a little bit of, what color is that? Nude. I'm going to go a little nude. Yes, I am a juvenile. And that's number 17 in this set. And I'm just darkening up the areas that I didn't darken up with that light grayish pink. So different areas of level of shadow will have a different tone. The darker shadows, I wanted to have that gray color in it because that's the areas that are covered by something. And then we're going to go in with some shallow yellow. Just to finish it off. And a little bit of deep pink for her lips. Now this is a bit of a red pink. It's one of the only reds that are in this set. Okay, and there we have the first one all done. Now we're going to work with the second one here, and we're going to do her stuff in a lot of different blues, just because I don't know, I just see her as a blue, light blue tones. So I'm going over her whole dress with the light blue, even over the star areas. Not trying to go over the star areas as much because I want to add that yellow to it. Now I'm just blanket coloring this, putting that undertone in, so that when I go over it with different colors, it will give that light blue hint to everything. and when I add the highlights and whatnot, you'll be able to see them right. Alright. Now we're going to go in with this one. So we're going in with our next lightest, which is cyan. And we're going to go into all those areas and extend them out. All those areas that we expect to be a little darker. And we're just going to extend them out into the areas that we expect to be a little lighter. Now we're not covering the whole area, so make sure you don't cover the whole area. Leave those lighter colors in there for your highlights and your undertones. Now I'm not going over the stars and the moons with this blue. The other blue is light enough to go over it. And be able to change that color without, or go over it without changing the color too much. That's the words I'm looking for. Not quite sure what's going on down here in the bottom of her dress, but don't know what it is, so I'm going to ignore it. Basically, I'm just going to turn it all into stars and moons. Alright, and then we're going to come up here. And down here. And we're just covering all of those areas that we know are going to be darker. And then we're going to go in with our sky blue. And this will be, if I don't break it too much, this will be one of the darkest blues we'll use. And I'm just extending into and putting an anchor basically for that dark blue area in those shadows. So as it comes out further into the light, the lighter it gets. You can of course do this with 1 or 2 pencils just by lifting up the color and the pressure on your hand. However, the cyan blue has a little bit of that green undertone, which is what I like about it. That and emerald green, and all those wonderful blue-green colors. This one here is more blue than green, but it gives a good effect, especially in the shadows. So down here where I know the dress is creased, or that you're looking at the under part of the dress, I'm going to put in a little bit deeper of this blue. Where in these areas here, where it's not creased, it's just a little movement in the gown, I'm not putting as much of that deeper blue. Down here is creased, so we're going to put in a deeper blue. Up here is just a shadow, so we're not going to put in that deeper blue. Same with here, this is the underside, so we're going to put that deeper blue in. And back there. There we go. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take that lighter blue again, the lightest blue that we used, which is pale blue 178, and we're just going to go over it again. Just enhancing that pale blue just a little bit so that it doesn't look white. Now this time I'm not, because I'm putting a little bit more pressure down, I'm not going into those star areas. I'm going around them the best I can. Because I will be adding, like I said, I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to cover over it. And then I'll come in on those stars and moons with a yellow. Alright, and then we're going to grab this yellow, which is pastel yellow. I'm telling you, I gotta stop pressing so hard on these pencils. These pencils are not meant for hard pressing, just so you know. Now I'm just going to go through all of this because I'm not sure if it's waves or what it is. But with the yellow and the blue, it adds up to a bit of a green, so it works. Alright, now, and I missed that part, so I gotta grab that blue again because I missed her collar. And then I'm just going to grab the darkest blue. I'm not going to go in between. So I'm going to grab the sky blue again, and we're just going to put in some shadows, some creases. Alright, now we're going to take this one here, I think. Yeah, cyan. No, cinnamon. Cinnamon. I'm going to take cinnamon and do her hair. And this one's wand. I'm assuming they're wands. And then we're going to take bronze. And we're going to do the dark areas of her hair. Because everything has a dark and a light. And every artist, well, most every artist, I won't say every artist because some don't, but most every artist does give you a clue on what color should be where, or what depth of color should be where. And I have, of course, gone through that during my Tips and Tricks Tuesday if you're new to the channel. Now I'm just going to go back over that with the cinnamon again, which is 43. The bronze is 139. So that's the dark color that I used was bronze, and it's 139. This one here is cinnamon, and it is number 43. So if you do decide to purchase this set, you will have a good starter point of knowing what the colors are. Alright, now for her skin, once again we're going to go in with that pale gray pink, and we're just going to go in around her hair and the deepest part of her shadows. Same with her hands. Go into those deep parts of the shadowed areas. And we're going to take the nude, and we're going to extend that out a little bit and cover all of those really small areas that are going to be shadowed because of the way that they're positioned. And then we're going to extend that other shadow into the rest of the area, leaving some for the light. The light color we're going to use is shallow yellow, which is number 84. And we're going to use number 84 to blend all those colors together, creating that skin tone. Alright, and then I'm going to grab gold, metallic gold here, because she's special, and she's going to get a golden wand. The one thing I also noticed about this set is it does not have a metallic silver. Interesting. Then we're going to grab the black, and we're just going to do a shadow underneath. Like so. Alright. Make sure that I get under her dress here. Alright. So there is our picture. Hopefully I haven't been off screen too much. I know that's a bit of a pain, isn't it? Oh, I need to put that back. Alrighty. So this is October 22nd. 2021, and this is hug number 64. And there is our hug of the day. I'm going to switch on over to the other camera here so you can get a better view of it with all of its wonderful colors. Okay, so I think they did pretty good on the hug. It doesn't seem to have smeared anywhere nearly as much as I thought it was going to. I did get a little bit there from pressure on here. It must not have been under it all the way. But yesterday's hug was our little mousy. I apologize for that being so late. And then today's hug is, of course, the sister hug. And of course, tomorrow's hug for all of our Aussie friends is the kangaroo hug. Now, tomorrow's hug may be a little late because of the Colorathon, so I will apologize now. So if I am late with the hug tomorrow and Sunday, it is because I am participating in the Colorathon and showing support to all of my fellow YouTube artists. With that, I think that our um, initial swatch and testing of these pencils has gone fairly well. There's a couple of issues that, of course, I will bring up to the company, but for a inexpensive budget brand pencil, um, they're not children's grade. They are definitely a higher grade than children's grade pencils. Definitely work very well for coloring and coloring books as well as that sort of thing. The only problem I see for doing artwork with them is the fact that they do smudge. So make sure that you have a glove on or something that's not going to move that color with the oils of your hands. They don't blend with your Caran d'Ache blender, but they do blend with a harder blender like Blick. The red does move with moisture, so if you are going to use, say, a glitter water brush or something over top of them, be very, very gentle. Don't scrub your colored areas with your brush. We did have some issues with some scratchiness. Sharpening removed that issue for most of them. We do have 3, however, that still remain scratchy even after sharpening them, one of which is quite crumbly as well. The Caran d'Ache blender does remove any white spot and does smooth out the color that you have used. So for example, if I wanted to completely smooth out this blue, I'm going to switch you over to the other camera so you can see a little bit better. So say I wanted to completely smooth out this blue, as you can see there's some white spot there. The Caran d'Ache blender does quite well in doing that. The one benefit of going over anything that you've colored with the Caran d'Ache blender is it does make it very water resistant. So if you are going to use, say, a wet media, either watercolor or a watercolor brush or any translucent, like any of the shimmer paints or anything like that, make sure that you use your Caran d'Ache. Go over it, spread it around, make sure that it is covered, and it should remove that possibility of it smudging too much or moving too much with your water. So those are my initial first impressions and first view of these pencils. And like I said, the colors themselves are very, very nice. I will be going through and finishing up the swatch today, as well as contacting the company, finding out a little bit more information on their process, if they were able to put in their own color formulations, or if they are just a white label, that sort of thing. I will ask them all of those questions. And of course, when I do use them, I will be using them tomorrow for my coloring tomorrow, as well as that sort of thing. So I will have a better understanding of them after I finish my live stream tomorrow. All right, guys, until then, remember to relax, color, and stay safe. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, go out there and hit all of the wonderful YouTube colorists and artists for the Festival of Coloring Frights. which is going on currently as well as tomorrow and Sunday. So make sure that you hit that link that I've provided in the video for Saturday, because that is going to tell you all of the wonderful YouTube artists that are out there working away for you. Until then, um, oh, the other thing that I was going to mention, due to the Colorathon, I may not be on top of the coupons and deals of the day for the weekend. So I will check and make sure that the deals that are there are still valid. Um, but do keep an eye on them. I may have time to do it in the morning. If I don't, I apologize. If I do, wonderful. I hope they are helpful. Other than that, guys, have a fantastic day. Enjoy the wonderful festival of coloring frights and have some fun with it. Hang out with people, talk with people, and yeah, just enjoy yourself. All right, guys, until next time, relax, color, and stay safe. Until then, bye bye for now.